Now is the gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Norman, followed by Mr. Lamalfa. And clear to all over. This hearing ought to be held on the Hill. Everybody should be interested in this. But let me ask you this. How do we get leaders to speak out? And Steve, you and I both had a front row seat on the infrastructure package, 1.5 trillion. It was the Republicans who gave them the 218. So we're a product of people that put all of us here. Now, Kathleen, how can we get the energy sector to speak up and to have hearings like this? It's insane what's going on. It is insane. And I'd ask all the panelists, unless we have an uprising of people getting their voice back, the not just the leaders but the donors, folks. I'm afraid even we get power, we're not going to know what to do with it. Help me out.
Doesn't seem to be working. Oh. There we go.
Yeah.
It is a bit discouraging on getting the message out, but I would suggest that this is one of the best times I've seen where people are actually understanding that policies are causing their energy prices to rise. Because in the past, they would just blame us for high energy prices, even though we are price takers, not price makers.
But how can we get your sector, your CEOs, to hold a conference and say this is insane? We got.
It's really difficult right now because of this woke capitalism. It's very hard for public companies to speak out right now. So I represent a combination of public companies and small independents, and the small independents don't have those same shackles, and they're definitely much more aggressive than, say, the larger companies. So you will see, for example, our comments along with U.S. Oil and Gas Association. We were very aggressive on the SEC rule, for example. A lot of companies couldn't speak out about that because they have activist shareholders even on their boards. So it can be difficult. And I would submit also any kind of public relations effort by the industry it's just so hard to overcome all the misinformation about climate change and environmentalism that is out there that I'm certainly not financed to do it in my small organization. Again, we represent mostly small independents. So it's kind of a tough nut to crack. But I think Alex has been kind of good at getting out some of that good information about fossil fuels as well.
Maybe I'll comment for a second, but I want to hear what our former energy secretary has to say about the issue. So I think we have a real once in a lifetime opportunity right now because the possibility of a global energy crisis, like the possibility of massive inflation, has not been on people's minds since the early 1980s, and people got away scot-free with these anti-fossil fuel, anti-energy policies, and now we're seeing them come to fruition. So it is very important to blame the people responsible for those of us who have been in the right to claim vindication, and then to put forward our own positive narrative. So it has to be pro-energy freedom, and that includes being pro-fossil fuels. And one key aspect is to tell everyone, hey, we need to look at the full context with fossil fuels. We need to look at the benefits and the side effects, not just look at the negative side effects. And when you give that message, people can see the amazing benefits of fossil fuels, not just for Americans, but for billions of people around the world. And I found that very effective myself. But I'd love to hear what Secretary Perry has to say.
Alex, I'll be brief. You're spot on. All three of these individuals who have testified here in front of you today, they understand the dynamic that's going on. And I think it's really important to understand what Alex just said about we really haven't had any pain in this country since maybe back in, real pain by the energy side of things since maybe back in the 70s with the Carter administration. So the kind of the wind at our back, the blue skies, the ain't it great to be an American, and oh yeah, we're for the climate and we're woke and we're all of this kind of cool stuff right now. It's not so cool now. It's not so cool when you can't put gas in your car. It's not so cool when you can't take care of your family. And that's got to be the message that, particularly those of you who are running for office, because you're going to be the dynamic of which decides what the direction that America is going to go in the future. And you've got to have the courage. And when you've got people like Alex, his book, and when you've got the industry that with the finding the courageous people in the industry that will stand up and say, hey, we ain't interested in being woke. We're interested in taking care of the people in this country, or for that matter, the citizens of this world. And we have the moral argument on our side. We need to take it. We need to run with it. And I think we can be successful with it.
Well,
We can't be timid.
Only thing I'd say to all of you, y'all have got influence. You're going to have to make the calls to Congress to force the issues. We the people again. Thank you so much.
Morning, Mr. Lamalfa, after which the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Donalds.